Testing, 1, 2, 3. Hey guys, I'm gonna do part 2 of the About Me stuff. I have a cough, so sorry. Let me see. Oh, sorry. And I just woke up too, like a little bit ago. Okay, so yesterday I talked about like meeting people and everything. So today I'll talk more about, let's see, what should I talk about? I should have thought that through. Why don't we start off with the thing that's first on top of my head? My grandmother. My grandmother's name was Janice Dunham. She was always very skinny, like 98 pounds, like all her life. She had osteoporosis and emphysema, and she would get sick very, very easily. About 5 years ago, my grandmother had to be brought to Kingston Rehabilitation Center. Now that's not what you think. See, she got really, really sick, and like so sick that she had to have a trach in her throat. Now a trach is a tube that goes right here and pumps oxygen into your lungs. So the tube goes here, and then there's other tubes that go into your lungs. So my grandmother had to have that, and she was just so sick, and she coded a couple times. My mom, it was about 5 years ago in like February on Valentine's Day, my mom had to stay over at Nathan Tour because it was a really, really bad snowstorm, so she had to stay there. And my grandmother coded twice, I do believe, but they brought her back. But there was a little bit of brain damage or something. She couldn't remember us for a little bit, and then she did. And then we were there for quite a while, I do believe, and they decided that they needed to send her up to Kingston. Kingston is 2.5 hours from my house, which is pretty far. So we'd have to drive there like every day. Well, every day for the first few weeks. So my mom wanted to be there, make sure she was okay. Now this rehabilitation center helps those with trachs and brain damage and stuff, to help them get back. Like if they have a really bad accident, they can rehabilitate themselves to be able to like work as regular people and do things like regular people. And then it's also a nursing home for those who can't seem to get off the trach and should just stay there. My grandmother was a rehabilitation at first for quite a long time. And they were getting her to go to the bathroom. She had to use a commode. They were getting her to try to eat solid-ish foods. Like it was still kind of mushed up, but it was kind of solid. I'm gonna cut out all those yawns. Let's see, what else? They were trying to, they were trying to get her to walk and everything, and they tried to get her on a little talking tube here so she could talk. But it just didn't work. She didn't seem strong enough to. We brought her so many things. We brought her a computer, we brought her a CD player and headphones and music and stories and a lot of things, clothes and socks and all that. And she got very big because she had to be tube fed because she just couldn't eat real food because she choked on it. So she had to be tube fed, which she had a tube through her belly button that would feed her kind of like Ensure stuff. And she got very big with that, and it was kind of odd, I'll admit it, but it was fine. She was still my grandmother. And then last year, I do believe, around May, my grandmother had to be taken to Niskayuna because she wasn't doing well at all. She kept getting sick, like with pneumonia, and she just wasn't doing well. And they figured Niskayuna would be closer than Kingston. Now, the reason why they didn't decide to bring her to Niskayuna first is because Niskayuna didn't have a trach center there for quite a few years, and then they did. So she went to Niskayuna, and it was a really nice place, and it was there that we had to watch her slowly suffer and die till July. That was really hard. Every day something new would go wrong, like she'd get so swelled up her skin would burst. She would choke, she would just, it was really bad. And it was like she couldn't hear us anymore. My mom would go see her, but it was like my grandmother just didn't seem to have much focus. And towards the last few days, the last day we went to see her, it was bad. My grandmother was just laying there on the bed, and her face was kind of sideways on her pillow, and her mouth was wide open, and her eyes were lifeless looking. They rolled back and forth in her head like a doll's or something, and it was scary to see. My mom was the bravest one out of all of us. I tried to stay in there, but I was scared. I'd never seen something like that. And so I went out with my brothers and just walked around and paced, crying, because I was scared and I didn't want her to suffer anymore, but I didn't want her to die either. But I knew that if she suffered anymore, she would be in so much more pain. And she was suffering that then anyway. They think they found a mass in her lung, but they decided not to go check it out because it was just too late anyway. And she seemed to have a hard time breathing towards the end too, to where they had to give her so much morphine that she built up a tolerance to it where she still needed more and more and more, and they just couldn't give her any more. And on our way home, my mom said, I think she was passed. I honestly do. Her body was still moving, but I don't think she was there anymore. I think it was the next day, or when we got home that day, that the hospital called us and they said she's gone. She passed. And my mom starts crying and she's like, I knew it. She just didn't. Her eyes looked lifeless. She wasn't there anymore. And it was hard. It was hard knowing I wouldn't see her anymore. I mean, Kingston was miserable, yes, but I still got to see her. I learned how to talk to her through reading her lips, and she was very important to me growing up. She was always there when I had a problem. Like when I was younger, I'd have a problem with my mom. I would go to my grandmother, and she would talk to my mom about it. And when we would just lay on the couch, because that was her place, She didn't really have a bed, but she had the couch and she'd sleep there and she'd have all her knickknacks there and she liked it that way. We would just lay on the couch and watch all these old shows like Designing Women and Golden Girls and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and all those shows, and we would rub each other's legs and I would do puzzles with her. And it was good, you know? Those are memories that won't go away. But also the bad memories won't go either. So yeah, they won't go either. So when my grandmother died, she had my grandmother cremated, and my mom asked if I wanted a necklace with her ashes in it, and I said no at the time. But I think now I would have wanted it. And it was my own stupidity for not asking for it. Because I don't have anything of my grandmother's. And it's hard not having anything of hers. I think the worst part of it all was my mom asked me to make the memorial slideshow for my grandmother. It was 11 minutes long, and I had to go through so many pictures of her and fit music to it. And I did that for a few days till it was finished, and I so didn't want to do it. It hurt doing it because I was looking through her life through these pictures, and it hurt. It hurt a lot. And I cried every time I had to work on it. It didn't matter how many times I'd done it. And on the day where the funeral was finally taking place and everybody came to say how sorry they were, we watched it again. And I cried just as much as I had before. My grandmother was an amazing woman. She went back to college at the age of 40 and got the highest honor roll you can get. She worked very hard all her life. Very hard too, where she had muscles in her arms and legs from working so hard. I always looked up to her. We found out later on that she probably had Crohn's too. She because she went to the bathroom a lot like I did, and she just never seemed to gain any weight like I did. But we didn't bother getting it diagnosed, because what's the point of getting a sick person diagnosed when she's dying? So we just left it, but we're pretty sure she did. I miss her every day. One day I looked at pictures of her and I started crying. It was on Easter, I do believe. I started crying and laughing over them because they were good pictures. And on holidays, I miss her a lot. Like Easter and Christmas and Thanksgiving. Because Easter was one of her favorites. So was Thanksgiving and Christmas, and those are really hard. And her birthday was June 1st. That was hard. It was really hard. Because my birthday is 6 days after her, so I used to get excited because when it was her birthday, I knew I only had 6 more days. I couldn't get very excited this year. And that whole experience is one of the reasons I hate hospitals, because of what happened. And they make me very nervous, and I have panic attacks with them. I did find out, though, that going through her pictures of when she was a kid, I look like she did when I was a kid. I look like she did when she was a kid. Same haircut, same smile. And that made me really happy. It really did. And I wish she could have met Cody. I think she would have liked him, but, you know, I wish she had been around more. I always said that I would have wanted her, my mom, and Roger to walk me down if I ever got married down the aisle, because they were the 3 most important people in my life that raised me. So that's another part of my life. I had to go through 5 years of that, and it taught me a lot, it did, but it's left a very big, deep scar inside. There's a very big hole in there. And I don't know when it'll get healed, but I know it's there.